Hello, this is Gerald Overmars. It is possible to imagine how letters not just have a certain position that we can verify, that we can understand, the way how the different positions also show some kind of interactions is not an easy task to immediately recognize. But I have some examples that show it to you. There is a systematic, balanced out reference point in each letter, and that can be learned to recognize also. And I will use the word plate to demonstrate this. But before I do that, I will also have some other words that give you an example how to realize the differences into a certain object that is named according to a certain letter combination of letters. And before I do that, you can always check the basics of the theory at the right, which I will not explain here now. But before we express it, I will give a little bit of, let's say, education, how we can recognize the vowels. You have to start somewhere. The consonants are used for physical changes. The vowels are more like a very general focus upon certain spaces, and they are considered, and they are different. They have different borders. They have different aspects according to one of these vowels, and that's the thing that you can learn most easily to recognize. So I will start from there and we'll make some examples. So what's the focus of A, O, U, E, and then the Y? Because these ones I will use in association with the word. Or that's how I will build up until you can understand plate. So I will have a cup first. So let's have a cup as an example of an object. So where can we recognize the A? I told you already that every vowel is a focus. And a different focus upon a certain spatial area. And what is the A about? A is used to pinpoint upon an object. That's why we say an object or a cup. That's what we already do. We define the place and the placement of an object. And where is the range of that A? Because the range of every spatial area which is used for a word is different. Where's the A? The A is actually you have an object and you just say I can pinpoint it into one point. So this point really resumes the full object. But the other one, it has a certain range until where the object is. Considering the cup, it depends on what you still consider a cup. Is this ear still the cup or not? It's already a bit less clear sometimes. What we are really sure about is this reference point in the middle and a certain range until we are defining the object. And that's what the object actually is. And there is an example. The cup in Dutch is also called tas. And just one word I will say how the focus is of tas. We already know that is then that object. Focus upon the object. It starts with T. So what is the T doing? When we want to see what kind of object this is, the first thing we notice is it's not that perfect circle around the middle. No, it has a certain limit there. This limit is the first thing we notice. It's not just a cup. There's a limit in between the round center point. So there is a limit by height of a center point A. Combined with S gives it the opportunity of putting something in, putting an extra thing in, associating it with a lot more things within that outer shell. That's what the S is more or less about, and that's how we use the reference with this outer shell. With a focus upon a center point which is broken, let's say, has a limit there. It's completely describes also the form of the tas or cup. Additionally, we also always have certain letters which are not just about forms, like the S. The S is not just about a form, it's also telling something about an application. There's an extra application which you can only understand via context, and this context has to be added first before we have a full functioning object, which is the cup. When within an application, any application, or all the applications that it can have. Basically, it also has this extra ability in this latest letter that you can add it, or you can add other processes which are in this case not clearly defined. They can be attached, they can have, you can use it for this purpose, whatever it is. That's the kind of focus of TAS. Okay, I hope I don't make it too complicated to have already one example here. But I was going to focus upon the vowels. So the space of the A was around the size of the cup. The cup in Dutch is kop with an O. So how do we see that? What's the difference with O and A? The A is really the physical limits, the estimation, the physical limits with its vague borders in a way. That's the A. The O is crossing the first borders that you see, and it's bigger. It's going into the environment, and the environment is within that environment you can have the full focus upon the object. So when you use O or cup, the Dutch word, it also means now the cup is not just the basic form inside, everything included. We consider the cup, also the plate to it, also the ear to it, the whole thing. That's the cup. If I want a cup of coffee as cup, you want a cup, you have the full picture. It is a possibility. You give it a full picture, you take it all. It's easily associated because you use the O to include the environmental extras that you have there, and also the cup confirms that you use it at certain moments, like in the O. Cup in English focuses upon a different aspect. The cup focuses on what is in it. You have that hollow thing there, and it's easier to associate it from there as cup, that we have the itself is just a functional focus, just like the A is, but the U, how it has been written, also gives us easily a reference that you can fill it in with something. You can fill it in somewhere, and or it can be half full or half empty. It's all possible, and that's part of that letter of U. The E, where is the E coming from? The E or E, we use it in end. It's also in all the extras which comes to it. We no longer focus upon the object. Our focus goes away from the object. We have something additional, and additional things are mostly also about a certain change or something that we need a bit more time for, or something. All these kind of things that takes our focus away from the original object and looks at the additions. We have a word there that is called BEKER. I think it's also in English BEKER, and it is longer. So our focus is also longer. We say also longer. We don't say higher. Actually, when you see the cup, the form is higher, but we actually, when we want to describe it, we don't. Strangely enough, we don't say, "Oh yeah, it's higher." It's not. It's because the material is not higher piled up. The material is actually longer, so it's stretched. The stretching is A. That's the form of A. That's how you describe it with A. With beaker, you have the B, the pressing open with the K to the sides in A according to a certain length. You can recognize the beaker. But this form we also call in Dutch a cup. So what is the difference then that we can have it a beaker or a cup? because the definitions are really limited in its range. So they can't be the same thing, but some of the objects can mean the same thing as well. Like an elephant is also an animal, but not all animals are elephants. So we have to say, but when is it only a cup? It's very easy, because cup on its own has this range of again. We have an environmental vision upon the beaker, which also includes the ear. So it always has or most of the time an ear to it, because we see it into the environment and it's included. If we only say beker with an this environmental range will be narrowed down to the length. And what will we have? The beker or beaker is actually also without the ear, and that's the real beaker. That's used more often because it also fits more with the sounds. That's how we see the focus on the sounds. These focus on the sounds and vowels fits to what the objects are, or how they are associated, how they are emphasized. And also here the length is associated. Length, not height. Height is like the material is piling up. There's no material piling up. The material is stretched, and that's why you can have to define it via actually what usually is a horizontal expression, even though if you see it differently. So that's a bit relative, but it's actually the focus underneath it is like I go away from my original focus, and I realize that the material, because it's a focus on material, is stretched open. It's enlarged. That's what it is saying. Oh, go back to the combinations also. We have here the e plus the a. So the like the e pronounced, the e itself is take a new idea, a new area, a new addition, and the e is that addition, but it's written as e plus a. E is a focus away from my center, and I have a new center, so I focus towards a new center. This ear is the new center, the second center. And the R, if you want to have it complete, is of course this extra context of material that is also attached there and is looking for its attachment there. Let's go to the plate underneath. There's also, you have the A as a written sound thing and the sound E for a certain length. But the A is the main focus. It has a center. It shows a center of it. It's actually also pronounced not as plate, but as plate. So we also have a Y sound to it as well. So the first focus is the written focus is A. That's that platform. The first center is a platform, a horizontal platform with the Y added. It is taking our focus away from the original object here in comparison to the cup, and we see it as we focus also towards a separating focus from the original centers, or it will bring us to a separating focus from the original center. Also that can be recognized as the sound. It has a potential. We take some context or another, or it can lead to a context or another when we use that focus at that point. It is also detached from any further associations. The cup is detached from the plate, and you can look at the plate separately, and the plate is also detached for whatever uses it will be added there later. It stands on its own. So the A is an attention also additionally with a timing frame. It's also an additional extra attention that you follow up for a while. And the sound A is about much longer like the A. It's very short, very focused upon an object. A can only be expressed by giving the sound also some time. That's the way how you can have to use and how you should be able to realize the usage of the vowels. But let's now go to the plate, and you have the scheme in the right so that you can check it double what I'm saying. I'm not fantasizing at all. I'm just using the norm of the structure which is on the line. Every letter has a function with certain tendencies, structured function, and during that building up of structured positions, it also shows certain tendencies towards certain forms. And the first tendency that we notice with the letter P is the pressure that you have from underneath towards a certain border. Basically, what is really behind that is that aspect of time again. It's about timing, so it's not just about the form. The form is secondary. There is a timed process underneath which basically says how far does this reach, and how far does my frame and concept and what I experience, what is going up and what is enlarging and what is changing, to how far does that go. That's the real focus. It's not about forms anymore, but you can still put the form from it when it's pressed from a certain position. The positions of P basically is still about a focus in timing. So we have a result at the end of a timing process with its limits, at its limits. That's basically the first focus, but you can have a form there as well that you can associate with it. And via L I can measure this structure, and it gives it again a physical form as well via the L, and it gives you the range, it gives you the height. What's the difference between the pressure point which starts and the pressure point which ends? You measure with L the differences. So now we can have also the form of the plate, because now it's about a physical letter, a physical space that we focus upon what is forming a material. So I can continue also with the materialistic side of this pressure, and that's what I will express. And that's how it is expressed well as well. We almost have the form of the plate, but we have a few letters to go. So the next letter is the letter A, which basically focuses back upon the grounding space, and we look at the object and we see the object or what it is and what the foundations of this object is. We focus on the center point, its central focal point as its basis. There we start from. But because it's also already started from P, from this pressuring, pushing forward, pushing towards its limits, so up actually, also from what will happen with the A, and the A will have to follow after L taking shape. It's already lifted up, and it ends there within T in the vertical again. So we have our plate. Here we have blood, actually, a plate at the top layer, which you almost have the full form on it, and it also says, okay, I have a function here, a functionality there, and it also flattens down the top a little bit. And with the A to it, of course, also says, okay, and it has a certain context that we use it for a certain time, we give it attention to in a certain time. It gives us that as an end effect, as a last letter, a certain timed result that we focus upon it when we use it in the end. I hope this was clear enough and brought you also closer to the foundations of the vowels, so you can recognize them a bit better. These videos are meant also to add experience actually from what it is. It's much more difficult to learn the things from theory than to actually learn to understand what I'm saying as something that you can experience as well yourself. Oh yeah, I can understand it, I can sense it. It's a very good beginning if that's what is the conclusion of you after watching this video. Anyhow, therefore, also thank you for if that's the case, and thanks for watching again. And you can double check certain tendencies of logic of words and the previous theories that existed of letter combinations and meanings in that second part, the application of words. You can check that there. There's a Facebook group as well that you can keep your updates for new videos. There's a website too with a full list of all the words that I did before, and also of some resume of some of the theory. It needs time because it's new, so I give it a time, just let it sink in, and hopefully you enjoy it after a while more and more. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.